second anniversary. Each weekday, a different host will be giving away fresh merch to one lucky caller. All you have to do is keep it locked to KBLA Talk 1580 throughout the day, and our host will tell you when to dial in and when. It's our way of showing appreciation to you for helping make KBLA Talk 1580 the most trusted, credible, and reliable source of information for listeners just like you. Here's hoping you'll be one of our lucky winners. But you can always head over to the KBLA.store anytime for the best in KBLA Talk 1580 gear for yourself and great gift ideas. Now, celebrating 2 years of being your go-to, we're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
Word up, son. Word.
Yeah. To all the and the $100 billers. For real, who ain't got no feelings.
Just watch my back. I got your front.
Check it out now. I got you stuck off the realness. We be the infamous, you heard of us. Official Queensbridge. Tomorrow comes equipped for warfare. Beware of my crime family who got nothing to share for all those.
Taking us back to 95, Andy.
Rock you in your face, your brain with your nose bone. You all alone in these streets, cousin. Every man for theyself in his land. We be
Okay.
like they supposed to. They come around, but they never come close.
Well, Andy is setting the tone for us. You are listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. And that is a perfect setup for the last hour. This hour, we are talking hip-hop. We are talking the 50 greatest hip-hop groups of all time, according to Billboard. Of course, it is still Black Music Month. It's June. We got 2 more days left in the month. So I figured this was as good a time as any to have this discussion and sort of look at who they have deemed the best hip-hop acts of all time, at least 50 of them, and the reasoning behind it. So first up, I have to set the parameters up because we need to know what the qualifiers were for them to put together this list, right? So this is what Billboard said. In determining these rankings, the Billboard editorial team, again, took the following criteria into account. Not in any specific order, meaning these are just the things that we talked about. We don't have a ranking of which one is more important, which one should come first, but these are all the things that we are considering. First off, the body of work achievements. That includes charted singles, albums, gold and platinum plaque certifications, other awards, MTV awards, BET awards, Grammys, all of those good things. The next one, and this is one of those ones that it depends. It depends on who you're talking to, depends on what you value, it depends on how you look at things. But the cultural impact or influence of a group, specifically how the group's work has fostered the genre's evolution. So we talked about earlier Busta Rhymes and how he was a leader as far as visuals and that impact. So that is something that, they already had their individual list. This is the group list, obviously, but that is something that, you would consider when you're looking at where these groups land on this list, right? Longevity, again, something else I mentioned with Busta Rhymes. How long have you been rocking the mic? Now, there are some that, we love a young MC who was out in 87. We give him props. He was one of the first rappers that was college educated, but also came and busted on the scene. He went right here down the street to USC. I hope you remember who Young MC is. Not that it's relevant. It's just a part of hip-hop history, But we have things like that. So, he was out back then, but isn't quite relevant now. So if they were to include someone like that on their other list, he would be ranked lower, right? Busta, again, Lifetime Achievement Award. Because why? He's had hits during a 20-year time span. That's incredibly hard to do. Some of your favorites haven't even been able to do that, but that's just one example. So other things that they're including in that also is lyrics, your storytelling skills. Can you tell a story? Is it just a song? Is it just words? We had an example of that the other night when we were talking about Pound Town, which is a hit. It's a hit. Now, is it lyrically savvy? I wouldn't quite say so, but it's not for me. It's for the people. and I see what makes it enjoyable, but you can consider that. Something like that might be considered. Go ahead, Andy.
Before you continue, I'm just curious because, when people always talk about lyrics, I'm always curious. What do people mean by lyricism? I mean, is it rhyme scheme? Is it the subject matter? For you, in your opinion, when you think about when somebody says, "Oh, this person is lyrical," what is in your mind?
Wordplay. I like wordplay. I like interesting delivery, where you can take, for example, and I can't remember the whole line, so hip-hop heads don't kill me, but like when Jay-Z, what was the song when he was talking about double entendre, and I just made a double entendre?
Off the God Did, I believe?
Yeah, or something like that. And, there's examples of I like tricky wordplay. I like when people flip metaphors and things of that nature. That matters to me. I think your flow is important because someone could have some, let's say, subpar lyrics, or maybe something, people have mentioned that they don't know if they feel that Tupac is the most lyrical. I love Tupac.
I'm glad that you brought him up because that's the example I was going to use in
that
comparison to a Biggie Smalls.
I was going to use those two examples exactly because that's usually what, when people talk about it, they talk about Biggie was lyrical, but Pac had a feeling. He delivered his songs with a passion. So you may overlook him rhyming Hennessy and enemies 27 times. Listen. I'm saying that as someone who loves Pac. I love Pac down. I will ride for Pac. I will argue you down about Pac. But I also understand that, there were times and moments where there were, some limitations.
I'm going to say there's some songs on Me Against the World on Tupac's album that were very lyrical.
Yep. Temptations is one. I know people may not think of that, but Temptations was an interesting one.
If I Die Tonight.
Okay.
Ooh, just listen to the alliteration that Tupac is over here spitting. Now, you don't hear too many rappers using alliteration other than maybe Papoose. But to use alliteration, I'm sorry. And you know what? Poetry is very lyrical, though.
Right.
Pac was a poet.
Pac was a poet, and Pac read books. So, I mean, I think all of that, it adds to your artistry as a rapper, as a performer, or what have you. But so let's continue on with the list. Flow. I just mentioned flow. That's your vocal prowess. So these are the things that Billboard is utilizing when they put together this list. They say that their definition of groups includes duos, proper groups, and more, nebulous collectives. So that could be a posse. That could be something like, what was it with De La Soul, the Jungle Brothers, and Tribe Called Quest? What was their crew called? I'm blanking on it right now. Andy's like, that's too far back from me. The Native Tongues, that's what they were called. Latifah was part of that. Moni Love. I know my hip-hop history. Don't question me. Across all genres of it. Get at me. If that's something you could call me about. You could test me because I'm pretty good. But anyway, these are sort of the loose definitions of what a group is. Most notably, inclusion on this list is based on the accomplishments of the group as a unit. So not what the individual has done because, obviously there are some groups that the individual has broken out and has a different level of success, but they are talking about what they did as a unit. They said that they tried to walk the line between what constitutes a group versus a collective or a crew. But at times, it wasn't always clear. So with that out of the way, when we come forward, we're going to break down at least 12 of the top 50 hip-hop acts, the top 50 Billboard groups or acts according to Billboard. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580, RSVP with Jill Munroe.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Shadow Sister Tour is coming to Malik Books, Westfield, Culver City Mall, Friday, June 30th, 2023 at 7 p.m. Author Lily Mead will be signing and discussing her new book, The Shadow Sister. This book is perfect for fans of emotional suspense, sisters with stories with complex family dynamics, and speculative fiction, including hoodoo. Lily Mead's captivating book is a must-read, truly a page-turner. from the first line to the final page. The moderator is New York Times best-selling author of the book, The Black Kids. Come out to Malik Books Westfield Culver City Mall for the Shadow Sister Tour, Friday, June 30th at 7 p.m. There will be diverse books featuring strong female leads. Malik Books is a community bookstore that amplifies the voices of our community and gives voice to the voiceless. For more information, go to malikbooks.com. Again, that's malikbooks.com.
Get ready to feel the funk with Charlie Wilson at the Hollywood Bowl on July 12th. Wilson brings 4 decades of hits like Outstanding and Party Train from his days as lead singer of the Gap Band and his award-winning solo career with hits like You Are and There Goes My Baby. In Vogue opens the night infusing killer vocals with class on hits like Free Your Mind and My Lovin'. Get your tickets now at HollywoodBowl.com. Hollywood Bowl, forever summer.
If you're a business owner or lead a nonprofit that's between 26 and 49 employees, please listen. Lendistry is proud to announce a new program whereby small businesses and nonprofits may qualify for reimbursement of COVID sick leave expenses incurred in 2021 or 2022. This program is administered by the California Office of the Small Business Advocate. Eligibility criteria apply and funding is limited. For more information, visit COVIDPaidSick.com. If you're a business owner or lead a nonprofit that has between 26 and 49 employees, please listen. Lendistry is proud to announce a new program whereby small businesses and nonprofits may qualify for reimbursement of COVID sick leave expenses incurred in 2021 or 2022. This program is administered by the California Office of the Small Business Advocate. For more information, visit COVIDPaidSick.com.
Hey, keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, it's Jill Munroe. You are checking out RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. And before we came forward, we were just about to get into Billboard's top 50 groups of hip hop of all time. Now, let me set something up for my version of this chat. What I want to share with you is we're going to go from 50 on down. We will not finish the list tonight, and that is by design. We are starting this conversation. We're going to discuss a couple of the acts at the back end, and we're going to work our way through it, and we're going to pick it up tomorrow night. So, see, you have a reason to tune in tomorrow as well. Not that you didn't already, but this is just a reminder. If you want to join in the conversation, 800-920-1580. The YouTube chat, it's lit, it's there, it's available to you. And of course, the socials, hit us up. So without further ado, number 50 on Billboard's list of the top 50 best rap groups of all time is M.O.P. We heard a little musical tribute courtesy of Andy earlier, and this is why they said that they included M.O.P. They said that their hard-nosed demeanor, gruff wordplay, the Brooklyn duo. Let me tell you that I never knew the members of M.O.P. Their names are Little Fame and Billy Danze. Had no clue. Anyway, they have proven their status on the East Coast for more than 25 years. I'm going to question that. They've been around, I'm sure, for that time period. But have they been rocking for that time period? No. But anyway, for their 1999, listen, let's slow this down here. 1998, back in the olden days, in the 1900s, their first album, First Family for Life, secured their position. It had Jay-Z on it, Gangstar, Naughty by Nature, Tretch, really. And they used DJ Premier's production. So obviously that means that they were coming out the gate swinging with the gold standard. In 2000, they had their biggest hit, which we heard earlier, Annie Up. That track was crazy, still goes crazy. You want to see people get hype? Put on Annie Up. That's going to get the party started, no matter where you are. Little bit. So the remix was fire. It had Busta Rhymes, Remy Ma, Lighten It Up. We got to see the visuals of that on Sunday at the BET Awards. So, I mean, again, we got to get a little more into the list. I'm like, maybe, I don't know, but it's 50. So we'll give you number 50. Andy, what do you think?
That's probably the amount of groups that we've had in hip hop over the years.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because I was just like, one of their parameters was longevity. And I'm sorry, MOP is lacking that.
Exactly. Hardcore. That's what I said. I mean, really, they kind of came and went. I don't want to call them one-hit wonders, but
you can make the case on that one.
That's what I'm gonna say. I'm just gonna say that
name another song from them.
I don't know.
Boom. And you say you didn't even know the name of the artist.
I didn't know. I knew MOP, but the individuals couldn't tell you. I feel like Keke Palmer. Sorry to that man. I did not know.
With that being said, 50 might be a right position for him.
That might be a right position. It sounds good. So number 49 on the list, they have Black Star. So Black Star is a group that, they put a lot of cultural references in their music. They aim to educate with the experience that they put out there. The heirs to that crown, sort of what they set up as far as their rap style and their performance, I think would be when Mos Def and Talib Kweli were in a group. They kind of carried the torch of what a group like Black Star set up. So Billboard says they represented artists rejecting overt violence at their time. They characterized Biggie and Pac of that. They were the antithesis, I should say, of Biggie and Pac during that time period. They took their names from the black activist Marcus Garvey, and they also sprinkled references of black music icons and heroes throughout their music. They utilized icons also like Gil Scott-Heron, who we know the revolution will not be televised, which obviously is someone who, through his poetry, kind of gave us a glimpse, he probably didn't intend it that way, into conscious rap that would develop later on. So it's something to consider. It's something to think about. They broke through in 98 with Mos Def and Talib Kweli are Black Star. So I don't know, Andy. What do you think about that?
Definitely probably got to listen to more of the list, but
we're taking away their individual performances, right? We're
right.
just them as the group Black Star.
When I think about that album, Reflection Eternal, it reminds me of Lauryn Hill's Miseducation.
You think it's a companion piece, kind of like you in the same vein?
Not musically, but more so
content.
Not even I think impact wise, they only dropped that one album.
Right.
Like Lauryn Hill just dropped one album, and that album kind of stands the test of time. And I mean, if you're a hip hop head and you talk about lyrics and lyricism, I mean, Mos Def and Talib Kweli definitely brought in that particular album right there. I think, in my opinion, stands the test of time. It might not be considered a classic on a mainstream level, but if you're a hip hop head, you definitely have to put that album in high regards.
It's one of those albums, like back in the day, I used to call it speaker music, because you would see the guys in the club, or some girls too, by the speaker trying to hear the lyrics. Beats were matter, but they were really trying to take in the lyrics, trying to hear what they were saying. So
it's not club music.
It's definitely not club music.
It's not club music, but it's definitely music that will empower you.
Yep.
That will uplift your spirits. I mean, it's definitely the other side of the spectrum when it comes to some of the content that you hear in the hip hop game.
And I mean, I think it's a balance. Like, it may not be for everybody, but I appreciate that it's out there, that you can take it in when you're in the mood for it, that it can set the stage when you want to, line up a revolution. That's what it's there for. I like all types of music,
Absolutely.
So I like that it exists. So number 48, this is an interesting one. Kind of controversial, maybe.
100%.
What I will say about the inclusion of this group is that they were impactful about 3 or 4 years ago, coming out along with another independent rap artist that obviously wouldn't be on this list. But longevity is one of those numbers. And they aren't quite there yet. So this inclusion kind of feels like, hey, we need some girls and we need some newer acts added to the list. So coming in at number 48 is the City Girls. My man. Listen, I love the City Girls. I pretend to be a city girl. I'm a city girl when I'm in a car, when I'm driving, right? It sounds good when I'm rapping the lyrics. I may not be a city girl in practice, but there are moments when I am city girl-esque. So, I'm not mad that Carisha doesn't write her lyrics all the time. She's tried to step it up. JT is obviously the more lyrical one, the better one.
She is.
Attitude, questionable, but, everybody has bad attitudes. Not all the rappers were, fun and warm and fuzzy. JT, stop throwing phones at people, though. But, the City Girls, one thing that I can say is the era that they ushered in, along with Megan Thee Stallion, again, on the heels of Cardi B at that time. You may disagree with some of the lyrical content, but it's fun. It's party music. It gets people on the dance floor. No, it doesn't quite fall under the lyrical aspect, but it does hit the mark as far as the cultural impact.
Yeah, period.
Because, period, poo. Now, did they invent that? No, but they perfected it. And realistically, it took over. Everybody was talking about having a hot girl summer or city girls up.
Period.
Jill? Yes.
I feel like you're holding back.
About what?
I feel like you really want to go in.
About
but you're keeping it respectful.
No. Listen, I do. I like the city girl. I listen to them. Again, I'm not going to sit up there and act like I think that this is, lyrical substance and that it is, will we be listening to the City Girls in 20 years? Maybe. And I'll tell you why. Because it's party music. And, at any given moment, like I said, music also is meant to take you back to the moment when you first heard it or how you were feeling. So if you were in your prime, popping at 25, talking about period poo, city girl, I can't say any of the lyrics because I don't want to get in my flow and, FCC fines are real. Anyway, I think that from that aspect, you can't discount them. You can't say that they didn't make an impact. And, they've had a couple of singles. They even paid homage to a group like Salt and Pepper with the I'll Take Your Man thing. I mean, kept the legacy alive and started something. They, made way for the Ice Spices of the world.
So them being at 48 above Black Star, what this list is telling me initially is that they weight impact more than they do lyricism.
Okay, you think so?
Not that it's a bad thing, not that it's a good thing. It's just an observation. Because lyrically, not the best. But impact-wise, you definitely can make a strong case. I mean, period now. I wouldn't be surprised if I see period with the T in the dictionary in the next couple of years or so.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's definitely, and it's already in the Urban Dictionary for sure. You hear anchors in Nebraska saying period to end their broadcast. So, the culture is everywhere. All right, coming in at number 47. I like this group. They kind of came out of nowhere. Again, the longevity aspect, questionable, but I suspect, kind of like Andy made reference to, that how many groups can we really include in this list? Over the 50-year period of hip-hop, I wonder how many groups there have been. And then, too, I wonder how many they were familiar with, because I think that there's some culturally that probably should have been included, at least on this bottom half. I wouldn't put them higher up. Maybe they have, because in all complete honesty, I didn't go ahead and look at the complete list because I wanted to be surprised along with you. Although you guys may be already doing that. I wanted to kind of reveal it and share my thoughts as organically as possible. And if you want to share your thoughts, 800-920-1580. Just a little plug there for that. But so number 47 is Ray Shrimmer. So those two, over the past couple of years, they've had some hits, big club hits. They had everybody across the country doing the, what was the challenge? The mannequin challenge. What was it called? Was it just called the Mannequin Challenge? Maybe
it was called the Mannequin Challenge.
Okay, it was. I was trying to remember the song. I guess that's what it is. Exactly. I can't even think of it. But they were rocking out. And here's the thing: they have melodies, catchy. Again, another group that made catchy club vibes. You could go to the club and bounce around to their music. Lyrically, like they said, it seems like I ain't got no type like them. Not really their thing, but it's enough to get you bouncing. The
Black Beatles.
Black Beatles. That's it. That's the song that was with the Mannequin Challenge. And come on, how burnt out were we on that one? That was everywhere.
Yep.
Everybody, every sports team. You had, little daycare centers doing the Mannequin Challenge.
I did it a couple times.
It definitely touched and rocked the culture. And when you think about the fact that these two guys are from Tupelo, Mississippi, and took over the world, I mean, with their music at the time, we got to make sure to put the qualifiers in there. I'm not saying they're greater than anybody. I'm not making it bigger than what it was. I'm specifically talking about that moment. They were everywhere. So, what else did they have? No Flex?
No Flex, yeah.
Like I said, I ain't got no tape. You do not want to hear me sing. Rap, maybe sing. Probably not.
With that being said, so far of all the groups, they're definitely where they should be.
Okay, I feel that. I agree, too. I think that is a good place for them. I think they definitely deserve to be on the list. They definitely were impactful. But 47-ish, that's right where they need to be.
But definitely above the first three.
Yep, for sure. And, we're not talking about individual accolades, but the production game, they've done out there getting it. All right, number 46. This is an interesting one. I get it. I kind of get it, but I was surprised. I don't know if I even would have thought to include this group. But the Yin Yang Twins. I guess if you think about just on its own, Wait, that's the Whisper song. That song was creative as hell.
Yeah, what?
They whispered on a track. The track was banging. And if you think about it, that track was so stripped down. It was bare. Just boom, 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 boom. Hey, little mama, let me whisper. Yeah, right? Flowing, right? So they had nightclubs, radio, all of that in a chokehold. What year was that? Early 2000?
This was 2004, 2005. This was college for me.
College for you. So you remember it well, right?
Yin Yang was popping.
They were doing it.
They were popping.
So do you think 46 is a good spot for them?
I gotta hear some more groups.
You gotta hear some more.
But I respect Yin Yang.
I do too.
Definitely.
And then here's the thing. Okay, so Wait, obviously I kind of put that as like one, they're high, like they're higher ones. But then we think about some of the collaborations that they did, right? Salt Shaker. That was a big one.
What?
Dance floor turn up. Shake it like a salt shaker. Shake it like a salt shaker. Was popping.
Shout out to the ladies at the club at that time.
Do you know? I know. Getting it in. Popping.
Whistle while you twerk.
Whistle while you twerk.
Get 'em up.
Listen, they had them. They had them out there. They had they were on Shake with Pitbull, right?
Yes.
That was a big one. They were on Get Low.
Boom.
So, I mean, here's the thing. I did say I had to kind of think about it, but 46 is a good place for them. So, okay, 40. Oops. Watch the mic. The mic is hot. So 46 and 47, I kind of think in some ways they're interchangeable because one is a time, you think about the time periods when they were rocking,
right,
and kind of the number of years that their was spread over. It was a lot. But when we come forward, we'll get into the rest of the list. You are listening to KBLA Talk 1580. Get into some news and sports at the break.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Financial stress is having an impact on Georgia residents. An analysis conducted by USA Today Blueprint shows 51% of Georgians are feeling the effects, which ranks 7th nationwide. Among those experiencing financial burdens, the most are the 40 to 54-year-old population, and the committees feeling it the worst are among Black and Hispanic residents. More Americans are believing the pandemic to be over, but fewer than half say their lives are back to business as usual. A new Gallup poll shows 64% of respondents say the COVID pandemic is over. In February of this year, only 49% said the same. Just over 40% said they don't think their lives will ever go back to what was normal pre-pandemic. Along party lines, 84% of Republicans said the pandemic is over, compared to 65% of independents and just over half of Democrats. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Bank of America has powerful digital solutions for local and global businesses, so you can make every move matter. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. Bank of America, N.A. Copyright 2023.
It's our anniversary.
Every weekday during the month of June, we're giving away gear from the KBLA.store to say thank you for your support of KBLA Talk 1580 as we celebrate our 2nd anniversary. Each weekday, a different host will be giving away fresh merch to one lucky caller. All you have to do is keep it locked to KBLA Talk 1580 throughout the day, and our host will tell you when to dial in and when. It's our way of showing appreciation to you for helping make KBLA Talk 1580 the most trusted, credible, and reliable source of information for listeners just like you. Here's hoping you'll be one of our lucky winners. But you can always head over to the KBLA.store anytime for the best in KBLA Talk 1580 gear for yourself and great gift ideas. Now, celebrating 2 years of being your go-to, we're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for education as a right, not a privilege. Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science is a private, non-profit, community-founded, student-centered university committed to cultivating diverse health profession leaders who are dedicated to social justice and health equity for underserved populations. CDU does this through outstanding education, clinical service, and community engagement. Recently, Charles Drew University made history by opening only the 5th medical school at an historically Black university. Congratulations, South LA, and congratulations to the Dean of the medical school, Dr. Deborah Prothos-Stith. CDU is now training doctors and providing $90 million in annual economic benefit to Watts and surrounding neighborhoods. To apply for medical school, get more information, or sign your child up for the Junior Doctors Saturday School program, visit cdrewu.edu. That's cdrewu.edu. At KBLA, we are dedicated to equity in education and ending healthcare apartheid, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, and downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action is the youth component of the impactful CBO, known as the Community Coalition. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action has chapters at almost every South LA high school. Say Yeah, as they are popularly known, is located at 80th and Vermont, but serves young people all over South LA. Under the COCO umbrella, they train youth organizers, help underserved scholars prepare for college, and work with students to help them gain admission to top universities. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action fosters teen activism, where young people have led campaigns moving tens of millions of dollars to South LA schools and forcing officials to make AP classes available to students in under-resourced institutions. SCEF scholars have taken part in the March on Washington, been published in major news outlets, and been elected to city council. Long before she was mayor, Karen Bass started the program when she founded the Community Coalition. To donate, volunteer, or enroll a student in South Central Youth Empowered Through Action, please visit cocsouthla.org. cocsouthla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Oh yeah, that's it, baby. Right there, right there, right there, right there.
On it. He's getting us hype. You know, we're supposed to be winding down. It's a little late in this hour. I'm acting like I got someplace to go. Don't let my chair dancing lead you to believe that I can't dance. I absolutely can. And, you know, I might have twerked a little something in my day or two. A little bit, not really. You know, but we tried because the music influenced us. So, having said that, we are up to number 45. And I'm curious about your opinion, anyone in the chat, Andy, you too, what you think about this group, because I feel like it's not a group that a lot of people have heard of. And if they have, they can literally only name one song by them and probably don't even know that much about the group as a whole. Probably actually get the rapper and the DJ mixed up, but I digress. So at number 45 on Billboard's list is Pete Rock and CL Smooth. They were only together for 4 years, but they did leave an imprint. Their style, Pete Rock was the rapper. No, CL Smooth was the rapper. Pete Rock was a DJ and producer. And he was known for a lot of his samples. He used a lot of jazz, drums, a lot of funk and R&B inspired stuff. He really was a crate digger. I don't even know if they use that term anymore, because who's digging in the crates these days? You just, scroll through iTunes or whatever to get your music off. Apple Music. Let us call it the correct name. But I don't think people really dig in crates anymore. And, you order your vinyl offline. You don't really go and try and find that special back of your mama's record collection and dig in and find that one sample that you use like 2.8 seconds of it, and you got to be a real head to know what it is. But their debut album, they had an EP first in 91, all sold out, and the actual album came out in 92, Mecca and the Soul Brother, and it featured the duo's biggest hit, which is something most people know. It's called Troy, They Reminisce Over You, and they dedicated to Trouble T. Roy, who was a dancer for Heavy D. When they were on tour, I think it was 91, 92, Heavy D and the boys were performing. I think Pete Rock might have been on the tour. That is the connection to it, or worked with them. At any rate, Trouble T. Roy, he fell off of this raised platform that they were going to be performing it on later during sound check rehearsals, and he passed away, unfortunately. So Troy, They Reminisce Over You, was a dedication record to him. And again, jazzy track that was utilized, and it actually, appealed to the old heads as well, but still had that snapping beat. And CL Smooth had a nice voice that floated over the track. So 45. I think that's a good place for it. Andy, what you got?
They need to switch places with Black Star.
I agree with that. I can see that.
Because name another track other than Troy.
What did I say before I even got started?
Exactly.
Nobody. I can't name one, and I feel like this is. I'm gonna look something up because I feel like something really crazy as far as Pete Rock and CL Smooth.
It probably was no offense to my elders, but it was probably some old head in the little. In the boardroom that was just like, you gotta put Troy, because I think they're probably rated that high because of that song.
Exactly.
And how impactful that song was, because you can make the case that that song is probably one of the top 10, maybe top 20 hip hop songs of all time.
I mean, it really is, and it was done to perfection. And let us remind you what the song was sampled from. It was Tom Scott and the California Dreamers, Today. That's what they sampled in that track. It was huge, and it was respectful. Like I said, the old heads appreciated it because it had a little jazzy flow. The video was nice and respective. Okay, this is what I wanted to check out because I wasn't sure. In 1991-92, I was an intern at Elektra Records. I worked in the... Gosh, did I really say that out loud? Anyway, I worked in A&R and in promotion. And one of the records that I worked was Troy, this album. But I can't tell you anything more about it. Like I said, I wasn't even sure if I was really remembering that correctly. I had to Google to see what label the album was on to make sure. So I respect it, but I'm with you, Andy. They could have moved them back. T. Swarns is in the chat. He said Troy was fire, though, and Straighten It Out was fire, too. I don't remember Straighten It Out. Listen, I appreciate that you know another track from Pete Rock and CL Smooth. I do know that Pete Rock produced a gang of songs. Can I name them right now? I cannot. But, they're impactful, and they could have dropped down to 49.
And you know what's crazy with a lot of these celebrations for, the 50 years of hip hop, I'm saying, at some of these award shows over the years, I haven't seen a Pete Rock or a CL Smooth on stage to even perform that song.
I haven't even seen him on a Vlad interview, and he goes in the cut and gets everybody. So you make a great point. But I do appreciate that they acknowledge them because that song really was impactful, but they could have been a little lower on the list. So at number 44, we have Crisscross. And I'm going to be real with you. I think Crisscross should be a little higher on the list. Not because they were the greatest vocally, but because culturally, what they ushered in, because of the fact that I believe that they were really the first kid hip hop group to put out. And also because now they weren't, you guys know your history. We know Jermaine Dupri brought them out, but they weren't Jermaine's first act that they brought out. And I actually really liked the first group that Jermaine Dupri produced for. They weren't a hit. They were called Silk Times Leather. I can't remember the name of the single now, but they were a female rap duo. I think it was two. Yeah, Silk and Leather. They came out in like 1990, and whatever little single they had out at the time, I rocked with. So I was eager to hear more from JD, and he looked like an extended member of the group. But let's take it back to 92, when Crisscross first jumped on the scene with Jump.
Hold on. I'm not going to let that shot that you just took slide.
What shot was that? What?
For real, you calling him short?
I'm just saying that, okay. That's an obvious one, and I'm not going to really, talk too much about short people because I, too, am in the fun size club. But I will say Jermaine was 18 or 19 when they dropped. He was a kid himself. And so what he was doing, what he brought forward in that era, he looked like he could be their friend. Not just because he was short, but just in style and demeanor. It was a true, he was the big brother, and you could see it. You could see them hanging out. And you could see the impact and the influence that he had on them.
And maybe that's why they were so successful. I mean, JD being the producer that he is, he was kind of tapped into that youthful energy. You know what I'm saying? He was able to,
to really bring that out of them.
Absolutely.
I mean, so the story goes, he saw them at a mall when he first discovered them, and that started. Well, we are only 5 positions in. We have so much more to go. Like I said, this conversation will continue tomorrow night, and we will get to number 44 when we come forward after the break. You are checking out KBLA Talk 1580 with Jill Munroe.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Did you know that all City of LA renters have rights? Check out these 3 facts. Residential tenants can't be evicted without reason or just cause. Eviction protection still exists for unpaid COVID-19 rental debt due before March 31st, 2023. And you have 5 days to respond to an eviction notice. 5 days. Many Angelinos may be at risk of losing their home, and that's why we want you to know your rights. Learn more at housing.lacity.org. Be informed, be protected, be at home.
Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. Sometimes we try to fit it all in. Sometimes we don't know what's in store. Sometimes we find what we're looking for. Sometimes we're rolling easy and free. Sometimes 1 and 1 makes 3. So much to love along this ride. That's why Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
You're listening to K-Drip, where we play all the best classic water-wasting hits like Sprinklers in the Rain and Leaky Faucets. They're tunes from another time because now that we face a hotter, drier future, every drop counts. Despite an extremely wet winter, keep using less water, fixing leaks, and reusing indoor water for your garden. Visit SaveOurWater.com for more ways to conserve. Up next, brushing your teeth with the water on. K-Drip.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands for Unity and Healing. African Focus Incorporated is a nonprofit organization based in California that focuses on the growth and well-being of Africans all around the world. Their mission is to promote the well-being of people of African descent through knowledge and appreciation of one another by building a bridge of love and understanding. African Focus Incorporated strives for cultural, educational, and economic growth. They're the organization behind the African Family Induction Ceremony, African Goodwill Awards, African Focus Trailblazer Tours, African Dance Competition, and Showcase Los Angeles, Family Day, Good News Windows Microfinance Project, and more. To volunteer, travel with African Focus, or to attend one of their community building events, please call 310-676-7730. That's 310-676-7300. Or visit AfricanFocus.org. This is a diaspora-wide community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
Hey, it's Jill Munroe. Thank you for checking out RSVP. We are still counting down the top 50 hip-hop groups of all time according to Billboard. And we were wrapping up with number 44, which is Crisscross. Let me give you a couple of stats because I just don't want to leave you out there with, okay, they're a kids group and they were cute and they wore their clothes backwards, but what did they really do for hip-hop? Well, first of all, they had an 8-week run at the top of the Hot 100 charts. It was the first rap record to reign for that long, so they're setting records. And even though it was only about 4 years that they were together as a group, they also had crossover success with hits like Warm It Up and Tonight's the Night. They also went platinum for both albums, Totally Crossed Out and The Bomb, which, you know, nowadays, how many artists are still going platinum? So give Crisscross their props. They did it. They paved the way for a lot of these young rappers that we see out there today, most notably, Bow Wow, JD's other prodigy. And we just heard Bow Wow's thoughts earlier about the current state of rap. And he has a right to talk his mess because, let's be clear, Bow Wow did some things at his young age. At 8 years old, he set some records. Mr. 106 in Park definitely put it down. So we're going to get into a couple more. And like I told you, we will continue this conversation tomorrow night on RSVP with Jill Munroe. Number 43. We saw them perform Sunday night at the Billboard Awards, at the BET Awards. We watched them probably yearly in a film that they were in. And I think that they are like cultural sweethearts. And at the time when they were popping, they too were considered a little corny, a little different because they were dancing. You know, them, Will Smith, this was probably in like the 88, 89 sort of time frame. Those groups were a little different from some of the harder core hip hop groups that were out, not necessarily on the West Coast yet. NWA was just getting started, but on the East Coast, it was looked at a little differently. So the group is Kid and Play. And, you know, Kid always raps, he's much more than hair and a smile. That's what he said in 1990 hit House Party. So a lot of skeptics felt like the duo was too safe, but they were incredibly funny. Part of the reason why they got House Party, and old heads will remember this, Kid and Play appeared on BET back in the day on Rap City. And this is when the mayor was still there. And they were the guest hosts. And so the set was just like this chain link fence and a bench. And so they were cracking jokes throughout the whole appearance. And one of the things that they did was, and they would do it frequently, is I don't know if you guys remember the old school commercials, the commercials that would come on late at night for the R&B, like 50s, 60s, well, maybe not the 50s, but the 60s and 70s hits. Hey Love, that's what it was called. I think that's what the album was called. And it was like, no, my brother, you've got to get your own. And I think you could get it for a penny or something like that through, you know, that type of stuff. So they were funny. They had comedy in their raps. They could dance. Everybody probably busted their behind trying to jump over one leg to get that little move perfected along with the little kick step. So I support Kid and Play being here. And they also had some hits. Obviously, they had Rollin' with Kid and Play, Ain't Gonna Hurt Nobody, and Funhouse. I don't really remember that. I vaguely remember that one. And then, of course, what they did for the culture with House Party. Nobody was expecting that from them, and they put it down. They made a classic. We know that it's been remade. We know that people still quote lines from it. We know that it has been a staple as far as Halloween costumes, you know, so as far as culturally relevant and the aesthetics that they brought to, because who, as far as hip hop, is more associated with their hairstyle than Kid? Not many people. You know, when he tried to do something different, I think it was the movie Class Act when he braided them down and he had the little braids that were coming down like Lorenz Tate did for O-Dog. Didn't quite work, but you know, I appreciate that. You got to change it up, and who wants to be a high top fade representer forever? But Kid and Play at number 44. I like that. I'm not mad at it.
Can I add another dynamic that I don't think a lot of people?
Absolutely.
I think it was something about Kid being light skinned and Play being dark skinned.
Like AM PM.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just
I feel like that. I feel like visually, because it does, you know, give them a different look. You have very different aesthetics. You know, Kid, he also put out there his image as kind of the shy one, the one not as smooth. Play was obviously short for Playboy, and you know, getting it in. So iconic. I like that. I'm not mad at that. At number 42 is a group that we made mention of a little bit above. Heavy D and the Boys. I don't know if, in theory, you can, that's a stretch. I mean, I know they mentioned that they included crews and loose associations, but I don't know if we can really call Heavy D and the Boys a group, because the boys were the dancers and the DJ. And though collectively it was a look and a view, I don't know if that counts as a group.
With that being said, I would bump them down to number 50.
Heavy D and the Boys?
Yes, I would, based off of what you just said.
Oh, because they're not really a group. Okay.
More.
All right, I feel that. I mean, I guess we're leaning heavily on Heavy, Dwight, rest in peace, on what he established as far as a bigger guy, the lover man thing, the player thing. That was Heavy's alone. There were no, as far as hip-hop goes and rap, long before Biggie, Heavy D was the overweight lover. That suave, smooth, fly guy. He could dress, he could dance, and he just had a little chub in him. And he even started acting early. I think Who's the Man? I don't know if you guys remember that movie. It was produced by MTV. It was like one of not the first, I think probably the first hip-hop movie, Breaking, Beach Street. Wild Style is a documentary. I don't count that. Crush Groove, my personal favorite of the group, that and Breaking. But anyway, Heavy was an actor. We also saw him go on to do other things. He was on singles with Janet, right? He was the first artist signed to Uptown Records, that established Andre Harrell. Obviously, that's where Puffy interned and cut his teeth to sort of lay it out there. Heavy also did his own A&Ring and signing groups. He brought Soul For Real and a couple of others. He always had the party jams going. He also had heavy features, with Levert, Just Coolin'. That, I think, was in like 88, before it was even really popular to have rappers on your singles, especially for mainstream acts. A lot of times during that time period, they would just get some guy, like probably somebody that was sitting around in the studio or whatever, to say the raps on songs. It wasn't even important. It would just be like 3 lines, and they would just kick it out there, and it didn't matter who did it. But I think actually Jody Watley was one of the first when she had Rakim on her Friends remix. But Heavy, like I said, he was on with Levert, Janet, and All Right. He and Pete Rock are cousins, so that explains the connection to Trouble T-Roy and why they put out that song. He passed away in 2011. Really, Heavy had so much more to probably offer. He definitely was really in his acting bag at that time, but we still have the music. So Heavy D and the Boys at number 42. Technically, I think of Heavy as a solo artist, but we're going to rock with it. All right, at number 41 is Little Brother. Let me be real with you. I have heard of Little Brother. I'm a little familiar, but not really. Excuse me. That wasn't my music. I know that they are from North Carolina, and they were comprised of Ninth Wonder, Fonte, and Big Pooh. However, I'm going to tell you that I don't know if I would have put them that high. Because what is their seminal song that is just like still rocked now? What is something that you can hear in clubs? What is something that set the bar, set the stage as far as style or that era? 41 seems a little high to me. But, that's just my opinion. Their 2005 album, The Minstrel Show, created a cult fan base for them. People loved the production, the skits that were included on it. So they were considered probably an extension because they were a little beyond the conscious MC era. But they did have meaning in their music, and it wasn't all about, just about partying or about guns and butter or any of those things. So the last group that I'm going to mention before we close for the evening at number 40 is Onyx. Now, I think that this is a pretty good place for them. Onyx, their visuals when they came out, those gruff voices, rocking all black, they set the stage. We'll get more into this tomorrow, but I want to know what you thought about the top 10. You can hit me up on all my social media at Stiletto Jill. Hit me up on 1580 KBLA, that's the station socials, or you know what you can do. Download the app and leave us a voicemail. Thank you for rocking with RSVP with Jill Munroe tonight. I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. After the break, on the other side, you will hear the best of KBLA. Make sure you are locked and loaded. I'll see you tomorrow.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. President Joe Biden is returning to Illinois today. Biden will be in Chicago